for this reaction on the lockdown level 3. What are your views and thoughts following this announcement?
The rest of the world is busy purchasing vaccines in order to mitigate on this pandemic. Unfortunately, we seem to have run out of ideas. If we can boast of saying we have budgeted about 240 million and that you can expect the delivery to be here in the second half of the quarter of next year, and that we have joined a consortium. What consortium? We have pharmaceutical industries in South Africa whose parent companies elsewhere in US or in US are producing these vaccines. Why don't we just place an order with them direct? Well, what consortium is this? What nonsense is this?
So, Mr. Holubisa, just speaking on the lockdown level 3, I mean, you saying essentially that a vaccine would have been the fastest and most beneficial option. Do you believe that the lockdown level 3 was also a viable idea in terms of slowing down the cases of COVID-19?
Unfortunately, these things are announced on TV. And these measures, rather. But in terms of implementing some of the measures which are directed to the wrongdoers, we see no action. Nobody has been charged for violating these regulations. There have been these threats, we'll arrest them. Neither have we seen anyone being prosecuted for stealing government money, which have been earmarked to help the people of South Africa in around the coronavirus pandemic. So there's no leadership here. Let us not be wasting anybody's time.
You say there's no leadership, and I was going through some tweets and came across Dr. Stembile Mbete, who says that political parties don't understand the issues involved in vaccine procurement and distribution. Also adding that opposition parties don't seem to have the basic knowledge to hold government accountable. What would you say to that?
He's talking nonsense, because the countries which we have been affected by coronavirus pandemic from March are already rolling out the vaccine. Even South American countries are doing the same. What science must we have to possess in order to do so? There's no leadership, I repeat. And there's a lack of planning, because the first 21 days was intended for the government to put a plan in place. But all what you hear every day, Minister Mkhize is visiting a hospital somewhere. He's visiting a hospital somewhere. Why is he doing that? Instead of sitting down with the bureaucrats of his department and say, can we make sure that all hospitals have got one uniformity? Are they refrigerated in order to make sure that when these drugs are here, they are put in a cool place? What have they been doing? Instead of parading and all over the country.
You say that there's no lack, there's a lack of planning and leadership here. But do you believe that as opposition parties, you have, the means and the leeway to hold government accountable?
We have that. We have been doing so all along. That's why we could sustain the scandal of stealing government money earmarked for this pandemic. Where was that doctor of yours when we exposed this corruption?
You say we haven't seen any arrest for violating the regulations, but we know that last night the president announced that those who are not wearing masks will be arrested and could face a fine or both. What do you see, or perhaps your thoughts around that announcement by the president? Surely it must be an indication that he's moving more aggressively towards ensuring that there is some sort of accountability for those who violate the rules.
We have noted that, including many other threats in the past. But you know this government, when it comes to implementation, you will arrest those people today, tomorrow they are released without being charged.
Is government doing enough, Mr. Holomisa, to curb the spread of COVID-19? I mean, you've spoken and reiterated several times in this short time that there is no leadership.
The government has announced these issues on TV and radio, and we have accepted them. All these measures, rather, and we have accepted them. But there is a time where you have to draw a line and say, for how long are we going to be in this period of uncertainty? People are losing jobs. Businesses are being closed down. And other countries are rolling out vaccines. Here at home, we are told, wait until the second half of next year. Are we short of money? Or why have we missed the deadlines to order these vaccines? Why?
Do you think it will be too late by the time that second quarter arrives for us to be able to get that vaccine?
Well, if we continue in this rate and that the people themselves don't want to take responsibility, as we have witnessed, you may find that the whole country is being punished by a certain section of population in certain areas which doesn't want to obey the rules. And when one doesn't obey the rules, the law must take its own course. But they have been folding their own arms, this government, doing nothing. So it might be worse by that time. You see, this is where at times I miss the leadership of Nelson Mandela. Because President Mandela would have picked up the phone and phoned directly to say, German Chancellor, Prime Minister X, President X, I understand you are rolling out the vaccines, your company are rolling out this. Can we place an order immediately, or can you assist us with immediate effect if we don't have money? But we do have money. But if it was a tender, I can tell you, they would agree, this government, to approve a tender of a 1 billion if it's going to be given to one of theirs. But now we're told about a consortium. What nonsense is that? Consortium of what? Instead of ordering the vaccines directly from manufacturing pharmaceutical industry.
Mm. Very lastly, you talk about people losing jobs, and you also speak about behavioral problems and people disobeying rules. We also know that among the announcements made by the president last night is the sale, distribution and transportation of alcohol being prohibited. Do you think that will make a big difference?
Let's hope so. Let's hope it will make a difference. And again, the population must also take blame, or not the entire population. Those who don't want to listen. The people were told, don't do A, B, C, D, E. But some would even go to the extent of holding parties under the bridges, under, in a secret place. But knowing that they are provoking the government But this government is very weak also because they don't follow up all these regulations they are publishing. Because if people don't obey, we should arrest people, charge them, and then that could serve as a deterrent.
Very well. Unfortunately, our time is up. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your thoughts. UDM leader Bantu Holomisa giving his views on the lockdown level 3 announcements by the president.